everyone, Katie Sutton here, intuitive channel and founder of Zen Within Academy, with your May 2024 energy update. I've got 3 themes that I want to share with you this month. The first is filling your buckets, the second is rooting into you, and the third is satisfaction. I hope that you are doing really well and that you're having a really good day as you tune into these energies of May. I'm in a different location today, recording in this beautiful outdoor space. So let's talk a little bit about what is happening in May. I think that April was pretty intense for most of us. We had the eclipse, we had Mercury retrograde, we had a really intense Scorpio full moon. It was a lot. And I think that May is going to be an integration month and a coming back to center kind of month where we're processing all these things that have changed in April. And so let's talk about the themes. So the first one is filling your buckets. So I want to talk a little bit about what this means. We have an interesting energy around up-leveling our ability to have all of the things that we want and desire. And every few months I see us doing some work around our manifestation space, our abundance space, and this one is really interesting. The best way that I can describe this theme to you is to give you an example from a session that I recently had. So sometimes when we are thinking about our havingness levels, as I like to call them, what we believe that we can have, what we believe that we deserve, we can break that down into different buckets. So we've got our health bucket, we have our abundance or money bucket, we have our spirituality bucket, we have our emotional bucket and how we're feeling emotionally and mentally, and we have our friendship and family bucket, our relationships. We have all these different kind of houses of our life that we operate in. And I was working with a client just yesterday, and we were working on her desires and her wants and her needs, and I asked her to drop into her root chakra, because our root chakra, basically, it has the template for all of those things, right? What we believe we can have in all of those things. It has that overarching, I guess, ordering and structure of all of those different buckets and where we're at in all of those. And it also controls our kind of survivability instincts. What we're carrying from our ancestors around survival also lives there. So that's the root chakra. And so I asked her to drop into her root chakra, and we were working on these different buckets, these different houses of her life. And what I saw in her root chakra were these 5-gallon orange Home Depot buckets in her root chakra that represented all of these different parts of her life. And I said, okay, you need a little bit more in this bucket. Let's imagine that bucket getting what it needs. And immediately, I actually saw it in my mind's eye. She went right to taking from one of the other buckets that she had, one of the other houses of her life, pouring the water, as I was seeing it, into the bucket that needed more attention. And I said, well, wait a minute. Why are we robbing Peter to pay Paul here? Why do we believe if I want to take up more space and have more support in my relationships and my friendships that I have to rob from my work bucket and my purpose bucket? And so I said, instead, let's imagine all of them getting filled equally and evenly, and they're all filled to the brim. Let's come from that template. And it was kind of an eye-opening moment for her, because she realized, oh, I didn't even think that was an option. And I think this is what a lot of us are walking around with. We have a ton of programming about how busy our lives are and how many responsibilities we have, and how it's not possible for us to take care of something that's really important to us and some other part of our life not miss out because of that. And so I shifted as the day went on, because this kept coming up in sessions with people. This is how it works for me. I watch patterns, and that's how I get all this information for the energy updates. And we shifted to this idea of a beautiful waterfall, and a waterfall with multiple pools and openings at the end. And these different individual pools represented the different parts of her life and the different parts of her life that needed to be fed. And the idea of a waterfall is that it's constantly flowing, right? There may be a dry season where it's flowing a little less, but there's always new energy coming in. And so this is how the guides want us to start thinking about our life, right? We have so much scarcity and so much lack programming, and it continues to be amplified in the collective because of the news and the things that are getting put out there. And if we subscribe to that, then we're never going to have enough to fill all of our buckets. We're always going to be moving energy from one to the other. And so I really want you all to think this month about, what would it look like if you didn't have to sacrifice in one area of your life for something else to get better? And practically, you may have no idea how that would be possible, but that's okay. You don't have to understand how. I just want you to start channeling the frequency that it is possible for you to have this overflowing energy in all of these parts of your life where you can be really satisfied. And we're going to talk about satisfaction because it's our main theme of the month, where we're going to work on in Healing Circle. And so I just want you to play with this idea of rewriting your kind of abundance or manifestation story into one where really anything is possible, and there is an abundance of energy coming in, and that the universe is ever loving and benevolent in giving, right? And that there's more than enough to go around. I also see that this is going to help us clear if you've got any competition pictures going on. Let's say you're in an industry and you feel like there's not enough clients, or there's somebody that you're working with and they're up for the promotion and you're not. There's just working through some of those kind of comparison and competition energies in this too, which tend to live in the solar plexus. So you might have some work happening in the solar plexus as well this month. And then in the throat chakra, I see with this theme that it's also about being able to speak those needs and own that we have those needs, and own that we're worthy of being able to have those needs met and not having to sacrifice in one area to receive in another. So that's this first theme that we're working with here this month. And I think it's super important because I feel like when we had the eclipse, there were a lot of really parasitic and negative energies that we cleared that were holding us back. And so part of this energy in May is claiming, okay, what are we calling in now that we did all of that work to let go? What are we bringing in? Okay. So that's the first theme. The second theme is rooting into you. So we're back to the root chakra. You might notice that we got a lot of root chakra stuff going on this month. You might need to be doing some extra work in your root chakra, in your energy center this month. So as we talk about this theme of rooting into you, what I'm seeing is that there's been a shift in our level and ability to embody the truth of who we are and embody the fullness of our consciousness. So I've been watching this. This has been building over the last few months. And what I'm noticing is it's now dropping down into the root chakra, where we're needing to do some clearing there and some opening there so that more of our consciousness can actually embody in our root. And what this practically looks like in your life is taking up more space, having your needs be vocalized, having your needs be met, believing in yourself and sitting in your truth and embodying that and knowing that's enough, knowing that you don't need to prove yourself, knowing that you don't need to make anybody understand you in order for you to be happy and for you to be okay and for you to be safe. So there's also a little bit of energy around safety here. I'm seeing that what we're clearing in order to root more of our consciousness into our body and bring more of our fullness in is a lot of lack of safety programs. And so you may have some stuff come up in your upper chakras around safety as well, and you might be clearing some things around safety in your root. And these safety programs can be like, it's safe to speak up, it's safe to be in my truth, it's safe to share my ideas. That's a third eye chakra program. It's safe to love. That's the heart, right? The solar plexus is it's safe to be me. The sacral chakra is it's safe to create. It's safe to be in my passion. And the root chakra is it's safe to embody. So those are the different levels of safety that I see that we might be working through this month. And you can work with those mantras. It's safe to understand. It's safe to share my ideas. It's safe to share my voice. It's safe to love. It's safe to be me. It's safe to be in my confidence. It's safe to create, and it's safe to embody, right? Those are the main body chakras. The crown would be, I guess I realized I skipped that. It's safe to be in my worthiness. It's safe to be in connection. So we are going to be working through safety throughout our energy center. And as these fear programs clear out and we get more safe to be ourselves in each of these energy centers, what that's going to do is it's all going to land in the root. And you can imagine this like a stream of light coming in a really expansive way. And as it works through that chakra column, there's just more of your light, more of your consciousness that's going to actually take up space in that root chakra. And I think that this is going to be really positive, because when we are more embodied in our root chakra, it's a lot easier for us to make changes in our life. It's a lot easier for us to align with how we want to live and spend a lot less time caregiving for others and taking care of what others want us to be doing, and really be in our truth. So that's what being more embodied in the root chakra looks like. It also looks like being more connected to your physical body. And so there may be some changes that you make this month in how you're caring for your physical body. I know that I'm going back to taking yoga in a yoga studio, and I haven't done that in years. I haven't done that since COVID, and it feels like I'm reclaiming a part of myself in that, because I used to teach yoga, but I couldn't find a home, right? A yoga home, and I've just had to work around some obstacles to get there. But I'm making the time this month, and it feels easy, whereas in the last few years, I haven't been able to get the inertia to be able to do that. So that's one way that it's showing up in my life. I'm also changing things about how I'm eating and just different things of how I'm caring for my body. So you might have a little bit of a shift, and I'm hoping that it will be easy. This isn't something that we want to be doing with a lot of willpower and force. This is something that's going to come to you as, oh, of course I need to be doing that. Of course I'm going to do this to take care of my body, because it makes sense, because I am embodying more, and that feels good. Okay. So that's that second theme of rooting into you. I think this will be impactful in your relationships as well, because what I see is we drop more of our awareness and our consciousness into our body, and we take up more space. It naturally shifts how we are in dynamic with other people, right? And it invites people to see us more. It invites people to understand us more. And so you might have a few little edges, little friction to work through in some of your relationships, where you bring more of your fullness in, and the person's, oh, where did that come from? Didn't even know that version of you, or I didn't even know that part of you existed. And so just allow some space for that this month, that as you're growing and expanding and coming more into your body and more into the truth of who you are, other people are going to have to reorient to that, and they're probably doing the same thing in this energy, right? So just notice in relationships, you might find this month that you're needing to take a little bit more space in your partnership. You're needing to take a little bit more space to figure out who you are in some friendships. That's okay. It's just a part of the season that we're moving through here, okay? So that's the second theme of rooting into you. So let's talk about the third theme. So I'll be having my healing circle on May 6th. It's a Monday this month, because we're actually going to be in Peru for 11 days, and we'll be in Peru in my usual time frame on the 8th. But this healing circle is super interesting. I was not expecting this theme, and I'm actually really excited about it because it feels super important, especially in my life. It feels important. So the third theme is satisfaction. And actually how this theme came in is I was working with someone on their insatiable needs. And so let me give you an example of that. So an insatiable need is like maybe a food addiction or mindless scrolling, basically the coping mechanisms that we use here on this planet, and we can't seem to pull ourselves out of them. Like they're so sticky and so attractive that we can't pull ourselves out of them. And when I was working with this person, what came in was this awareness that underneath that need for, I think we were working on food in this case, underneath the need for that food, that particular food that she knew wasn't good for her, was this part of her that was insatiable in its need to feel connected and safe. And because that part of her, which was a very little kid part of her, last month we worked on the neglected child parts, and we're still working a little bit in that energy with this theme, because this was a very young part of her that just wanted to feel connected, wanted to feel joyful, wanted to feel loved, and wanted to feel safe. And what was happening is, instead of dropping in and being with that part of her, the immediate go-to, because it was a pattern from her childhood, was to go have something to eat. And it would take the edge off of that part of her that was looking for connection. And she shared with me, she said, I'm really trying to not eat these things and not do these things that I know that are bad for my body, not scroll, not do all these behaviors, but I'm finding it really hard to stick with, to be able to stay with it and continue to take care of myself. And I said, yeah, because you're neglecting a part of you that needs something. And the moment that you take the food away, or you take the scrolling away, or whatever other kind of addictive tendency that you have, that part of you doesn't get that thing either. It's already not getting connection. It's already not getting attention. It's already not getting love. And now you're taking the thing away that was actually making it feel better. It's going to go into resistance with you. And you can use willpower to get through that to a certain degree, but it's not sustainable because you're not actually treating the root cause, which is this part of you that's craving connection. This part of you that really wants to be connected to you, connected to other humans, connected to joy, connected to love, connected to source, whatever it is that it's looking for in that connection. And so we worked on being with that part of her, and I said, you don't actually need to focus on using willpower to change this behavior. I want you instead to, when you have the desire to do the thing that you know isn't good for you, to ask yourself the question in that moment, am I wanting to do this because I'm feeling disconnected? And what part of me is feeling disconnected in this moment? And being with that part, and you may still need the cookie. Like, it may be so loud and so overwhelming and so dysregulated that you still need the thing, but at least pause and acknowledge that you're having the thing because you're feeling disconnected. And what that does is it interrupts that automatic response, because as I was talking with the guides about this, they were showing me how our world is set up in such a dualistic way where it is limiting connection to such a degree that we've developed all of these really interesting coping mechanisms as humans to deal with that lack of connection. And if you think about it, we're more connected than ever, meaning like we're always on our phone, we're always scrolling, we're always on the internet, we're always communicating with people, but we're not dropping into that deep level of nourishing connection. And we're certainly not dropping into that deep level of nourishing connection with ourselves and the earth and source either. Most of us don't have a consistent practice of doing that. Our lives get so busy and we fall away from that. And we use these things, whether it be food or, scrolling on social media or binge shopping or binge watching a Netflix program. Like, these are all the acceptable things that we use as coping mechanisms. There's all kinds of other coping mechanisms that our society doesn't accept, like addictive substances and drugs and those kinds of things. That's an even bigger layer of this that's here on this earth. But we also have these like acceptable coping mechanisms that we learned as a kid. And they are carried over from those neglected child parts, and then they become adult patterns that we fall into and that we keep upholding because we're not dealing with the issue at hand. We're not dealing with that lack of connection underneath. So when the guides brought this theme in, they're like, it's really about insatiable needs. That doesn't sound very positive. What's the positive side? And they're like, satisfaction. And when I tune into this, what I often see is that there's a very young part of me that is feeling really unsatisfied. I always give people the example of like a newborn baby that's just crying and crying, and you can't figure out how to take care of it. You've done all the things that you think that it needs. You've fed it, you've clothed it, you've bathed it, you've changed the diaper, but really what it's just asking for is to just be held. And so this month, you might find that as you drop into these coping mechanisms, that you're like, there's some different awareness that you can just be in connection with those parts and hold those parts. And maybe you won't need the coping mechanism every time. Maybe sometimes you still will. And that's okay. I think that's part of being in the human experience. None of us are perfect. I think anybody that claims that they are is probably not being truthful. We all have our coping mechanisms, but can we be more intentional with that? And can we allow some of them to fall away, and especially the ones that are really unhealthy? I've talked with you all before. Mine is often sweet things, because that's what I went to as a kid when I was struggling with emotion. I would just eat something sweet, and it's not great for my body to have that all the time. I need to reserve that for moments where I'm actually celebrating something, or it's going to create more connection for me rather than continue to perpetuate the disconnection. So in Healing Circle this month, we're going to be working with the energy of satisfaction, but specifically working with these parts that are feeling insatiable, these neglected parts that become adult parts, these neglected child parts that become adult parts who have these really insatiable needs, and we go into these coping mechanisms. So it's an interesting energy, and I'm excited about it because I feel like if we can support these parts, then we don't need so much willpower to be able to take better care of ourselves. And I think as way showers and light workers and empaths and sensitives, we're picking up on energies all the time. And this world can be really hard to cope with. And it would be nice if we could replace those not so helpful coping mechanisms with positive things like getting outside and being in nature and calling a friend and being in connection and doing things to take care of ourselves, like going to a yoga class. But we need to be able to do that through love and through compassion and not from shame and willpower, because it's just not sustainable. So that's what we're going to be working on in Healing Circle. I think it's going to be super powerful. I'm really excited about it. I feel like it's going to help a lot of people make changes that they really want to make from a very different place. And also just to love those parts that are needing connection. We all have those parts, and I just am really honored to be able to be bringing that through in Healing Circle this month to support all of you. So that's what's happening on the 6th. If you want to check out that Healing Circle, you can always get the recording if you can't join live and get some support with this. I think it'll be a great experience. I also want to say that we've got a few spots left in my Alive in the Feminine Day retreat on May 4th. I am about to head to Peru, and I can tell that there's something major shifting for me already in how I'm embodying my feminine, and how in the United States we embody our feminine energy in a very constricted way. And I'm already bringing in new codes and information and have been going through some ancestral clearings to prepare for that trip. And so I'm going to be bringing some of those teachings in that are already landing in me to this day retreat for women. It's going to be at my friend Ruthie Cohen Joyner's farm up in Concord. She's going to be co-hosting with me. She's going to be bringing in a great process to clear limiting beliefs. She's a belief decloaking process that she has. And we're going to celebrate being a feminine body, be in community, be in connection with one another, and really start claiming these divine feminine codes that are all around us that Mother Nature gives us, and claiming them in a way that feels unique to each and every one of us, because we all show up in this energy differently. So that's happening on May 4th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. up in Concord. You can still register for that if you'd like to join us this weekend for that event. All right, so that's it for now. I'm sure I'll have some videos for you all when I get back from Peru. So I'll be gone for a couple of weeks in May. So if you don't hear from me or don't see anything posted, I'll be back. Don't worry, I'll be bringing some goodness back from my trip, and I'll see y'all on the other side. All right, thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.